This is Jim Cramer with Jeff Marks for the morning meeting, exclusive for CNBC Investing Club people. And I've got to tell you, Jeff, we're going for 4 days. One of the things that has happened is that two groups that we have suffered with of late are finally making their turn. And I think the turn is definitive. One is semiconductors. Because Samsung said that things are stronger. That was a misinterpreted story earlier. People were saying Samsung was not better than expected. Completely untrue. It is better than expected. And then oil's making its long way to rebound, which I thought would happen. There is a pipeline out of Kazakhstan, which is a Chevron pipeline that looks like it may be closed. And so once again, we're dealing with a shortage. But overall, what I see is that what's been going down is going up. And that's because things got oversold. And we have been taking advantage of them. We've been making some acquisitions at these levels.
Yeah, good news from Samsung, definitely helping things. We know Qualcomm, they do a lot of business with them. They have a lot of market share within the Samsung Galaxy phone. So perhaps some good news there. Also, you have China. They're weighing $220 billion in stimulus, and this would be more on the infrastructure side. But anything that could really shore up their economy is a positive for global economic growth. Perhaps that is helping oil as well today. And, of course, the semis, too, because China is a huge market for semiconductors.
NVIDIA really got crushed by China. AMD had some exposure to China. Qualcomm, huge exposure to China. Yeah. Now, when we sat down with Christian Aman, I had felt that the pivot to 25 going to 30% auto would save him. That was wrong. I'll talk about that at our meeting on Monday. You know, making assumptions that seem to be right, that the market interpreted as not important. NVIDIA, what turned out to be important with NVIDIA was gaming. And we know gaming went down. We have that from whether it be Corey Barry from Best Buy, whom I spoke to, or just looking at the App Store. And you can see the gaming's down 8%. And that does matter. Qualcomm is 5G. And 5G can make a big comeback in China, given the fact that the lockdowns are ending and they're actually going toward a vaccine. Now, people haven't talked at it. So this is bottoming. I look at this as being a very good bottom, because this is at 11 times earnings. Trying to figure out what to pay for NVIDIA is harder because it's come all the way down to 29, 28. Yeah. But people don't want to pay for 29, 28 here. That's been a big mistake to do.
And I think that's the reason why Qualcomm has it definitely down, disappointment this year, but it's held in better compared to NVIDIA and some of the others, because it does have that low multiple. It does pay a nice dividend. But one stock that I think in the semis that has kind of been thrown away, it's a good name that's been thrown away from the bad, has been Marvell. We picked up shares this morning.
It's been one of the most poorly acting stocks after it had an explosion up to 90. If we can get a chart of Marvell, I'm going to tell you some of the things that I see going on. Okay, so Marvell's been brought down because of guilt by association. They are high performance computing, which people now think is slowing down because the internet is slowing down. Matt Murphy on Mad Money said that's not the case, no slowdown. And it's also been hurt by the idea that that 5G has slowed. Now, we know from Hock Tan, who came on Mad Money, 5G is still strong. And we know from Lisa Su, who got into 5G when she made the Xilinx, that is still strong.
And this is the infrastructure side of 5G, right? It's not they're not in handsets; they're in the infrastructure. So they're partners with Nokia, Ericsson. Those are some of the big telecom
one of the things
players
that really upset me about this stock is that, okay, we did sell some hot. I mean, it's good.
Sure. Yeah.
But it comes here, it reports a much better than expected quarter. So it goes up a little bit and then gets overwhelmed by gaming and overwhelmed by PC. It has no gaming and no PC.
Right.
So you start saying the guilt by association trade, I think, is now over. And part of that is because Micron said that the inventory correction will be shallower than 2014, than 2018, than 2020, than 2021. That's very, very important.
Yeah. Let's pull up the chart of Micron. I know you're hyper focused on this because they reported last Thursday night. This is just Friday. Yeah. So you could see last Thursday, it came down into Friday morning, but then since then, it's been straight up.
Well, okay, so let's talk about what happened here. Okay, so they report here, good number, but then they give you a really downbeat forecast. So then Sanjay Mehrotra, whom I know really well, comes on Squawk on the Street. And I say, listen, tell me some positives. But most importantly, unlike the analysts who don't know Micron as well as I do, since I've covered it since 1994, all you're looking for is when the correction is going to end. Okay, that's all you care. And Sanjay, whom they may not realize, has been very accurate at calling the ends of downturns. And boom. So on the show, he basically says, listen, it's going to, by September of this year, you're probably going to get beginning of downturn, a beginning of the end. And you couple that with Samsung saying good things last night. Next thing you know, this. Now, why is Micron important? Because it's DRAM, which is in everything. But DRAM, Micron is 60% consumer. We're buying Marvell, which is no consumer. But because Micron is such a highly visible stock, its consumer was then overlaid on our own stocks. Now, AMD does have some. I think AMD down from 176 to 76 is also wrong. But when you say wrong, and I'm going to, again, talk about this on Monday's call, wrong is a very subjective thing. If we owned AMD from, say, 20 to 170 and didn't sell the whole position at 170, well, then it looks like that we're dolts. But the fact is that we're not traders. And did I expect AMD to go as low as it did? Absolutely not. But we can't just we're not going to buy AMD here, sell AMD here, buy it here, sell it here. Because the reason we're not going to do that is, one, that's not the nature of what we do. But two, nobody's that good. So, I mean, let's at least, I'm a little defensive about AMD because I happen to like it so much. Sure. And I think it's going to come back. And I have no desire to sell it down here. Not at all. Particularly when she reaffirmed right there. And Xilinx is turning out to be much better than expected, according to what she told me.
And I think to your point about trying to trade tops and bottoms, you're never going to do that. So I think you just have to kind of get that out of your mind. But what you can do is as stocks march higher, you just peel them off on the way up. We've done that with AMD before.
Right, and we didn't do
that with Lilly. We did that with Humana again yesterday. And it's just a disciplined way to.
We didn't do it with the oils, in part because the oils fell apart in 6 days. But also because we think that long-term that oil's doing far better than people realize. We are pumping 12 million barrels a day in the country, which is at the all-time high. And I think that's done with restraint by Pioneer, which is probably the most important company after Occidental in the Permian. Now, I did some more. I happened to be out last night with the big distributors for my wife's mezcal, which I urge people to try.
Yeah, Phosphoro. Very good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so we're with the distributors, and with service from a company that is very, very powerful. And there's Pioneer making a comeback. And we're adding to Constellation Brands. Now, it's not just because I was with distributors. We're not just doing that kind of anecdotal. But when I had Bill Newlands on, who's the CEO of Constellation, he is talking about having a great second half. Now, when I deal with the distributors for Phosphoro, the one thing they're telling me is beer is flat, except for Constellation.
The category is flat, but they're gaining share in their Mexican brands, Modelo, Corona, Pacifico. Also, no one's drinking seltzer anymore. A lot of downgrades of Boston beer, which just means
that was pretty brutal.
Which means they're drinking beer more. So that's also.
And it's on premises where they make the big money. They don't have as much Modelo in the actual stores. Now, what's most interesting is they have Modelo Especial. Modelo Especial is on fire. It is not even in every city yet. It's almost impossible to get for us. I mean, remember, I do not own the bar anymore. There was someone hanging around the bar was trying to do some messing around, saying some bad things. I don't own the bar. Okay, so stop bothering the bar. It's a good bar. But Especial is the hottest beer in the country, and you can't stock it. So we feel very strongly that this stock was inappropriately sold down here because of no reason. Quarter's really good.
Great quarter.
And I think that this is the stock of our stocks after Humana and Lilly that's going to go to all-time highs. It's Constellation.
And we think that elimination of that Class B line, it will be a good deal for shareholders. I know some people looked at that 26.5% premium and said, well, maybe this is a little bit too
not
much,
after you fear how much they're paying them.
Yeah, Newlands, he said on the show, it's going to be a great deal. Absolutely. I agree with that. The cost savings from it, corporate governance reasons, it's good too. So I like it.
So we're buying some Constellation and we're buying some Marvell. Of course, as always, you get the head start. That's not the nature of the product. The nature of the product is we want you to do better than we do, and we want you to teach. We want to be your mentors to educate. It is not to flit in and out of stocks, and it is to avoid stocks that are bad, of which when we do get them bad, we shine a light on it so you can learn what can hurt a portfolio.
And we should do another reminder. We got the big monthly meeting
on Monday.
Next Monday.
I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to do a couple of mea culpas, but mostly we're going to talk about what the second half and why we are actually quite bullish about the second half. I'm Jim Cramer for Jeff Marks. This is the morning meeting exclusively for CNBC's Investing Club.